Orochimaru killed Kimimaru, and I can prove it. See, one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in the Naruto fandom is why Orochimaru has two different kinds of cursed seals. The cursed seal of heaven and the cursed seal of earth. And while both of these cursed seals are exceedingly rare, with only two people in the entire history of Naruto ever receiving the cursed seal of heaven, those two people being Sasuke and Anko, the cursed seal of earth is doubly as rare as the cursed seal of heaven because only one person ever received that jutsu, and that was Kimimaru. But why is the cursed seal of earth so exceedingly rare? And why does Orochimaru never try to use it after giving it to Kimimaru? Well, I think that's because the cursed seal of earth killed Kimimaru, and I have the evidence to back up that claim. So with no further ado, let's get directly into Kimimaru's mysterious illness explained. But before we get to explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you're looking for one additional NC Hammer 23 video a week, guys, you can go ahead and find my Naruto reaction series using the fourth wall link in my description below. We are in the middle of the Chunin exams in the Forest of Death, and Sasuke is pulling off arms like they're candy. Before we get into all that, today we're gonna talk about our favorite recurring sponsor to the page, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is a high-protein, no-sugar, great for carb-conscious lifestyle cereal. With 13 to 14 grams of protein in every single serving, 0 sugar, and only 4 to 5 net carbs, Magic Spoon wants you to feel good about what you're eating in the morning, all without compromising on taste. See, not only is Magic Spoon cereal delicious, it's your childhood reinvented, with flavors you remember from the best years of your life, but now with grown-up ingredients. Magic Spoon doesn't only make cereal, they also make protein treats that are crispy, crunchy, and airy without the stickiness of your standard protein bar. And boy, are they good. And each treat packs 11 to 12 grams of protein with only 1 gram of sugar and 1 to 2 net carbs per bar. So you can always make sure you're getting the fuel you need on the go. So what are you waiting for? Use my code NCHammer at checkout or click the link in my description to try Magic Spoon cereal and their protein treats today. And you get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon and in your local grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you order it offline and you don't like it for any reason at all, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link in my description to go to magicspoon.com/NCHammer or scan the QR code on screen right now to get $5 off your order. It's about time you got to smash your macros in a way that's enjoyable. Now I know what a couple of you are saying right now. Nick, we see tons of people with curse seals in Naruto. What do you mean only 3 people have received the curse seal from Orochimaru? And you're right, we do see a lot of people with curse seals given by Orochimaru over the course of part 1 and part 2 of Naruto. The best example of those people being the Sound Village 5. Jirobo, Kidomaru, Toyuya, and Sakon and Ukon all have curse marks. Their curse marks grow in the same way that Sasuke and Kimimaru's curse marks grow, and they have version 1 and version 2 levels. So did you forget that the curse mark is way more common than you thought it was? No, actually, I didn't. See, the curse mark, or the curse seals that the Sound Village 4 or 5, however you refer to them, have are different from the curse seals that we see on Kimimaru, Sasuke, and Anko. Different in that they are not curse seals of heaven and or earth. The curse marks or curse seals that the Sound Village 5 wield are simply just cursed marks. But as to how their curse seals definitively separate themselves from the curse seal of heaven and or earth, we can't really say. We just know that their curse seals are not curse seals of heaven or earth. Now, the reason we have a difficulty discerning what the difference is between the curse marks of the Sound Village 5 and the curse marks of Kimimaru, Sasuke, and Anko are/do is because fundamentally they all operate pretty much exactly the same way. They give unique individual transformations, boost the attributes of the person tapping into them, increase chakra levels, physical attributes, and their ninjutsu becomes significantly more effective when the curse seal is active. On top of this, all of the curse seals given by Orochimaru are built on the same principle. They increase the power of the person using this curse seal by allowing that person to tap into the Senjutsu chakra created by Orochimaru. But if all of these curse seals fundamentally work exactly the same, why have different forms of the curse seals for different people? Well, the one and pretty much only way that the curse seal of heaven and earth are able to differentiate themselves from all of the other curse seals that everybody else in Orochimaru's life gets is that the curse seal of heaven and earth are talked about as being the strongest out of all of the cursed seals, with heaven and earth being equal to each other. But if they're equal, then why use different seals on different people? Well, I believe the answer lies in the health of Kimimaru. See, another one of the biggest mysteries left unanswered in Naruto is why Kimimaru, one of the most talented and powerful 15-year-olds we've ever seen in the Naruto universe, died of some unexplained disease. That is to say, one of the biggest lingering questions in the Naruto community is what killed Kimimaru. And while even the most casual fan could tell you something along the lines of a chakra illness, what does that mean? Now, some fans went to the data books to try and answer this question, and in a couple of the fan translations of the data books, it is technically stated that Kimimaru had some kind of rare genetic disease that eventually killed him. But is some kind of rare genetic disease enough to kill somebody who just a couple of years prior was deemed as one of the most powerful children of all time and a perfect potential host for Orochimaru when trying to achieve immortality? Is that rare genetic disease so incredibly powerful and so terminal that Kimimaru could go from a walking threat amongst his own clan and the Kaguya clan to somebody barely able to move his body without coughing up blood or collapsing just a couple of years later? Honestly, maybe. We can't say because we know nothing about this disease, but I don't believe so. See, I personally believe there is an irony, a deep irony in Orochimaru's story. Orochimaru in Naruto is the embodiment of greed, a person who wants to know everything there is to know about this world and is willing to commit any atrocity to achieve that goal. But the number one atrocity that needs to be committed to achieve that goal is gaining immortality.
But there's irony in Orochimaru's pursuit of immortality.
See, because while Orochimaru spends years trying to find perfect hosts who he can take over to possibly live in for the rest of his life, all those around Orochimaru continue living their natural life in their original bodies. And because of that very simple, very easy choice, they suffer exponentially not only less than Orochimaru, but also all of the people around Orochimaru. See, because the problem with Orochimaru's body swapping technique is that they need to do it every 3 years, because the bodies they take over, if not perfect, begin to reject them or decay after 3 years. And thus Orochimaru is stuck in this perpetual consumerist mindset where every 3 years they need to find some new, fresh face to move into. And every single time Orochimaru finds a perfect host, things never pan out Orochimaru's way. See, whether it's Kimimaru dying of an unexplained chakra disease at 15 years old, Itachi using Sharingan base genjutsu to flip the body control over onto Orochimaru, almost killing him in the process, or Sasuke taking advantage of the fact that the body that Orochimaru had taken over before hopefully taking over Sasuke's was beginning to reject him and using that opportunity to kill Orochimaru. Every single time Orochimaru got close to taking over a perfect vessel, snuffing out some uniquely talented, young, bright soul, they failed. See, Orochimaru was meant to be the Sisyphus of the Naruto universe, meant to push a boulder up a mountain with the promise that at the top of the mountain was immortality, until eventually, much like Kabuto, Orochimaru was forced to realize that they shouldn't try to alter fate. And in that moment, the moment that Orochimaru comes back into the fold of the Shinobi Alliance, Orochimaru is provided with a white Zetsu clone, a perfect immortal body made out of Hashirama's cells that not only will never need to be swapped out for Orochimaru, but also effectively grants them immortality because the white Zetsu do not age, bringing a close to Orochimaru's ironic story. However, no chapter of that story is more ironic than what happens with Kimimaru. But why? Well, we see from the likes of Anko, a recipient of the Curse Seal of Heaven, that repeated use of the curse mark not only erodes your body, but also lessens your control over said curse mark. And this is not a flaw in the design, it is a feature. Because one, the curse mark is only placed on people that Orochimaru trusts and wants to control. And the more the people that are given the curse mark use the curse mark, the more amenable to the directions and demands of Orochimaru they become. And the less control they have over their own curse mark, the more said curse mark gets used, and thus the more amenable they become to Orochimaru's directives. And the second reason this degradation of the body and the control of the curse mark makes sense is because the curse mark was created from the cells of Jugo, who comes from a clan that has the passive ability to pull in nature energy. And we see in Boruto and in some parts of Naruto that when Jugo pulls in too much nature energy, he loses control of his body and enters a bloodthirsty craze. And this idea that using the cursed seals in any capacity is incredibly taxing on your body is confirmed time and time again throughout Naruto, with the Sound Village 5 specifically saying that when they use the second version of their cursed seals, which mind you are weaker than the cursed seals of heaven and earth that Kimimaru, Sasuke, and Anko get, they see a 10x increase to their strength. However, this 10x increase does come at a cost, and that cost is if they're not able to finish off their opponent while that version 2 curse mark is active, they're pretty much dead in the water, because the boost of the second version of the curse mark is so incredibly taxing on their chakra networks that they're basically unable to fight after they deactivate that second version. And like I just said, Kimimaru, Anko, and Sasuke's version of the cursed seals are stronger than the cursed seals than we see on the Sound Village 5, and therefore, while they maybe get more power from their version 2 curse mark, it's probably more taxing on their chakra networks. And thus you're probably right now coming to the pretty logical conclusion that, oh, this sounds like the worst possible thing you could give to Kimimaru, who is already suffering from some kind of chakra illness, right? I mean, it would kind of explain why Kimimaru literally died of overexertion in his version 2 curse mark 4. But here's the thing, that's us operating with the understanding that Kimimaru did have this genetic disease that possibly affected his chakra circulatory system. What if when Orochimaru gave him the cursed seal of earth, he didn't know about Kimimaru's genetic defect? Or even worse, what if they did? See, the symptoms of Kimimaru's genetic chakra disease were that he coughed up blood, he was weaker than he used to be, and he had stamina issues. All that is to say that this disease made Kimimaru have less chakra and be weaker. Now, given those symptoms, a curse mark isn't the craziest thing Orochimaru could give to Kimimaru. A curse mark essentially operates as a way for Kimimaru to tap into the power of Orochimaru. And by tapping into the power of Orochimaru, Kimimaru would be able to replace some of the power that he lost on account of his debilitating chakra disease. And this is actually how the curse mark is framed to Kimimaru in part 1 of Naruto. It's framed as a stabilizing force, something given to the sick boy to stabilize it. But so far as we know, Kimimaru didn't have anything even remotely comparable to the chakra disease before going to live with Orochimaru. The only thing that Kimimaru had before going to live with Orochimaru was Shikatsum Yaku, the thing that made Orochimaru want Kimimaru as a host. But this does raise the question, why would a jutsu like the Cursed Seal of Earth that allows for additional nature energy to flow into the body expedite somebody's genetic illness? How could more chakra, the literal life force of this universe, ever be a bad thing? Well, the problem isn't the fact that more chakra is flowing into Kimimaru, because more chakra flowing into Kimimaru probably would have helped his disease. Like we said, he was suffering from physical weakness and stamina issues. And we understand that chakra can be flowed into somebody's body to increase their physical strength. Sakura does it all the time. And that stamina issues are almost always tied to a lack of chakra. Itachi is a standing testament to that point. But a curse mark doesn't bring you regular chakra. No. It brings you nature energy. I mean, after all, like we've already talked about in this video, the curse mark was made from Jugo cells. Jugo, who comes from a clan that naturally pulls in nature energy passively. However, Jugo and Jugo's clan stand as a great example that a lot of nature energy isn't always the best thing. As when Jugo pulls in too much nature energy, he gains a monstrous, bloodthirsty, rage-filled form that needs to thrash everything near it until eventually it runs out of nature energy. And the frogs of Mount Muabuko, who teach people how to become toad sages, need to literally keep a stick that expels nature energy out of somebody's body, because the process of becoming a toad sage is so incredibly arduous on account of the fact that if you pull in too much nature energy and don't mix it with your chakra well enough, you just turn into stone. And therefore, while there is a massive potential for power while pulling in nature energy can be exceedingly dangerous. Tie that danger in with somebody who may already have a genetic underlying chakra circulatory disease, and the prospect of pulling in foreign chakra that Kimimaru may not have been able to blend with his own chakra at an appropriate level could certainly exasperate said underlying chronic issues. But you could see how Orochimaru would make that decision. Kimimaru is suffering from weakness and a lack of chakra, so he needs more chakra. But that more wasn't actually more for Kimimaru. That'd be like seeing a crack in the side of the barrel of your cannon and deciding with your next shot that you need more gunpowder. But Nick, Kimimaru's chakra circulatory system was only being additionally taxed when he was using the curse mark, and yeah, you're right, kind of. At the highest possible level of taxation, the kind of overexertion that could cause a 15-year-old to die of natural causes only ever happened when Kimimaro was using either the version 1 or version 2 versions of his curse mark. However, a lesser known fact about curse marks and how they operate is that they all operate kind of like mini Sameharas. They all naturally pull on the chakra of the host to keep a constant connection to Orochimaru. And while this chakra pull is nothing when compared to a version 1 or version 2 transformation of the curse mark in terms of taxation and connection to Orochimaru, it is still a constant taxation on the chakra network of the person who the curse mark is on. This is best displayed A, by the fact that Orochimaru was able to control the curse mark on anybody he placed it on, and B, the degradation that both Sasuke and Anko undergo after having the curse mark on them for years. And thus, while the taxation of this chakra pool is not immense, any additional taxation on a chakra circulatory system that is already suffering is a lot to ask. But why? Why was Kimimaru's chakra circulatory system suffering to begin with? What is this rare genetic disease that he had? Well, we don't have a concrete answer, but we do have a pretty good one, or at least I do. See, it's established multiple times in Naruto that healing comes with consequences. At least when you do it to yourself. When somebody uses medical ninjutsu on somebody else, there's usually no consequences. But things like mitotic regeneration, that is forcing your cells to divide to create new cells to heal things like being cut in half or regrow entire lost limbs, does come with a pretty steep price, and that steep price is a shortened life. Now, the reason this happens is because cells in the real world and in the Naruto world can only undergo mitosis so many times before they can't and they die. And therefore, if your cells were going to be able to undergo mitosis enough to the point you would have been able to live to 90 years old, but you keep forcing your cells to undergo mitosis to fix war injuries, you're going to die substantially younger on account of the fact that your cells can no longer divide. This is actually the primary theory that's talked about when trying to explain how Hashirama seemingly died of natural causes, maybe. Now, as to how much this mitotic regeneration actually shaves off your lifetime, I guess it kind of depends on how often you're getting horrific injuries that you need to mitotically regenerate from. Tsunade, who fought in 3 separate shinobi world wars, is like 75 right now in Boruto, and she's still fine. Which means either she wasn't getting injured all that often. I mean, we know she dies in the 4th grade shinobi world war, but that's pretty much the only injury that she sustains, or mitotic regeneration really doesn't shave all that much off your lifespan. But what if your fighting style specifically requires you to regenerate, like Hidan or Sakura, people who constantly put their bodies on the line because they know they'll be able to regenerate from it all but immediately? Well, then it would stand to reason, with the exception of Hidan because he's just immortal, that those people would die sooner than the likes of Tsunade. Oh yeah, Tsunade gets stabbed with Madara's Susanoo weapon a couple of times too. But what if you took it even one step further than Hidan or Sakura or Tsunade? What if every single move you used required you to regenerate some part of your body? Well, then you'd have Shikatsu Myaku. See, Shikatsu Myaku, which essentially allows Kimimaro to control all of the bones in his body as if they were weapons, has Kimimaro constantly pulling bones out of his body. Whether it's firing his finger bones as bullets at opponents, growing his ribs out of his body to act as a defensive aid, or literally pulling his spine out of his back to use as a sword in order to make sure that Kimimaro isn't constantly just slopping down onto the ground as a flesh bag. He has to be constantly regenerating the bones that he's removing from his body with a process known as osteogenesis, aka bone production. So in every fight, training exercise, or laboratory experiment that Orochimaru ever subjected Kimimaro to, Kimimaro was having to pull out his bones and regenerate them in their entirety, something that he did for his whole life. Combined the overload on his body from the constant osteogenesis it had to undergo with the grotesque transformations that version 2 curse mark users undergo, which also causes people to grow additional cell masses and bones all over their body to try and undergo these grotesque transformations, and Kimimaru's body was constantly in a changing flux, either healing itself to regrow the bones that Kimimaro just pulled out of it to use as a weapon, or changing in shape as Kimimaro underwent his version 2 curse mark transformation, while also putting an immense amount of stress on the body that was already fighting against the lifetime of having to regenerate the bones that Kimimaro pulled out of it to use defensively or offensively. And what's wild is Orochimaru knew that this would happen. See, Kimimaro was not the first person that Orochimaru placed a curse seal on. That was Anko. And Orochimaru had seen what this curse seal had done to Anko, the degradation it had caused to her body. And yet, by the time that Orochimaru came across Kimimaru after defecting from Konoha, which would be years after he was with Anko because Anko was one of his genin, Orochimaru most likely came to the conclusion that the reason that Anko's body had been degrading was because of the curse seal of heaven. And maybe because Orochimaru couldn't have two cursed seals of heaven, or because Orochimaru wanted one cursed seal of earth and one cursed seal of heaven to operate as a yin and a yang, Orochimaru decided to place a cursed seal of earth on Kimimaru. And here's the thing, this yin-yang ideology actually explains why we've seen two cursed seals of heaven and only one cursed seal of earth. See, because by the time that Orochimaru decides to put a cursed seal of heaven on Sasuke, they've given up on Anko. And thus if Anko was Orochimaru's original yin, it had now become Sasuke. But then why do we never see Orochimaru put another cursed seal of earth out there into the universe? Well, either because Orochimaru realized that the cursed seal of earth is what pushed Kimimaru over the ledge and eventually killed what was supposed to be his perfect host, or because Orochimaru simply never puts another curse seal of heaven or earth on anyone, with the possible exception of Mitsuki, who has a curse seal on his heart. But we don't know as to whether or not this curse seal is a curse seal of heaven, a curse seal of earth, or neither. So why did Orochimaru never use the curse seal of earth again? Well, either because it killed Kimimaru, or because they never had the opportunity again. And honestly, either explanation works for me, so long as you understand that Kimimaru most likely died from repeated usage of his Shikatsu Myaku, and the burden of the curse mark of earth expedited said process. That is the mystery of Kimimaru's too early departure from our sweet, sweet timeline explained. Or is it? I'm curious to hear from you guys. What do you believe killed Kimimaru? Let me know in the comments below. And while it goes down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get ready for Colossal Con Texas. Yes, Round Rock, August 17th to the 19th. I'm gonna be inside of you.